Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. My name is David Wilkerson and this is Surplus Funds 101. And today, Christmas comes early because I'm going to give you guys my contract absolutely for free. There's a link down below in the description of the video. Just go click it. It's an instant download. Really appreciate all the PayPal donations I've received over the past few months of doing this, but it's taken a lot of time out of my day. This will just automate that. You guys can still give me a PayPal donation if you want, but I really don't care at this point. There's a contract, you guys can have it. It's free. Just go down below and click on that link and it's yours. Another thing, my course is now available. And so if you guys do want to know any more details, I'm more than happy to hop on like a super quick, like 10-minute video chat call with you and just go over all the details. So if that's something you want, there's a link down below for that as well. But when it comes to agreements, that's a question that I get all the time. David, I don't know what to do when it comes to an agreement. The state I'm working in, they don't provide one. How does it need to be structured? How does it need to be set up? Well, this is the agreement right here that I use, and this is the one that you guys can go download. Okay, but before I get into this, let me give you guys a better understanding of just agreements in general. Okay, so usually speaking, there's two main kinds of agreements. There's a bilateral and a unilateral agreement. Okay, so right here, this is a bilateral agreement. So in this situation, it'd be for purchasing a home. So here's how this scenario would kind of play out. You have a buyer and you have a seller, and the buyer approaches the seller and says, "Yo, dude, I flipped some crypto and made like 25 million yesterday. I'm looking to get me a new house where I can have all these cool parties and get all these girls around the pool in bikinis and live the good life." And the seller goes, "Well, I bought this house like 2 months ago and it's not big enough, so I need to upgrade." And the buyer goes, "Well, what do you want for it?" The seller goes, "I'll sell you this house, but I'm going to need you to pay me $5 million and I need you to close in 14 days. And the buyer goes, "Well, I can do that, but I need to make sure that this pool is working." So you got to make sure the pool is working and that the elevator is fixed. Okay, so what this means is that both these two parties have specific requirements that need to be met in order for the contract that they're going to have in place to be enforceable if something goes wrong. Okay, that's a bilateral agreement. We have a unilateral agreement. Now, you guys that are out there as investigators, this is what you guys are going to be using. Now, it's enforceable upon the specific performance or action of one party. So how it would work is this. You, the investigator, would be calling some leads, and one of them would pick up and say, "Yeah, that sounds good. You can send me the paperwork in the mail, and I will let you represent me, and I'll let you represent me underneath the expectation that you're going to help me recover funds only if you're successful within a 6-month window." So only if the investigator can go and find the money and get it released to the claimant within a 6-month window, that paperwork is going to be enforceable. Okay, so when it comes back to how the paperwork needs to be laid out, there's a couple tangible elements when it comes to making a legally binding agreement. Okay, the very first thing up here is that it says that it's an agreement. That's kind of sloshy terms. I would put agreement/promise. Okay, because what an agreement is it's really just a promise to perform a certain action with getting an expectation at the end from somebody else. So, i.e., I'm going to help you recover some funds. But if I help you recover some funds, you're going to have to give me 10% of whatever I do. Okay, you get it? So here's the agreement. Here is what the promise is. And here's the expectation. Okay, there has to be something of consideration. Okay, and what consideration is something of value that you'll be receiving in order for the action that you'll be taking, i.e., the commission. And another thing of value would be the account that you're recovering. Okay, another thing is the intention to create legal I'm sorry, I'm all over myself this morning. Intention to create legal relations. What that really means is that both parties have a clear understanding of all the details and the terms that are laid out in the agreement. Okay, and number 4 is certainty. Now, I would have probably worded this a little bit different as well. But to boil it down, it's that both parties have a clear understanding of when the promise, the agreement, what is at stake, is going to be fulfilled. And so, in order to make this binding, you have to have them sign and date it. Another thing, too, I would add is you want to have an expiration date. That's another thing. Because if you don't have an expiration date, you technically, the contract wouldn't have an ending time, and you can't make somebody be under contract with you forever. That'd be unconstitutional. And so that would make the certainty aspect of this be a little bit more clear. Another thing too, and you guys, again, I am not an attorney. Okay, I don't plan to be. I don't want you guys to think this is like the best legal advice ever. Okay, I've just been doing this for a long time. Okay, I've been in sales and marketing my entire career since I've been 15 years old. I have like 4,000 career transactions underneath my belt, probably overrode another 30,000 deals. So I know this kind of stuff, like I've seen it. But again, I'm not an attorney. You guys need to advise your attorney for any legal advice. But another thing I would add is capacity. That's not listed up here, but capacity is the legal ability for both parties to sign an enforceable agreement. And today, in this world that we live in, that is more important than ever. So what that means is that both people are of legal age and that they are under fair mental ability to be able to sign an enforceable agreement. So what that means is that, like, if you go over to a claimant's house after he's been down at the dive bar drinking all afternoon, he is not mentally stable. That's how the state's going to look at it. That means the contract would be void. Or if you are underage, that would also make the contract void. I have a lot of people who reach out to me and they're like, David, can I do this business if I'm 17 years old? And I really admire the hustle of all these youngsters that watch all my videos and things like that. But you guys, I'm 33 years old. If I ever found out that a 16 or 17-year-old got me to sign an agreement, that would piss me off so much. Like, it's just so tacky. And I know that there's workarounds that some people have discovered and how they're putting deals through their parents' names, but it's not very professional. And you guys, you need to operate with just a minimum level of common sense and professionalism. Okay, you're dealing with business terms with people, so like, you guys got to be professional. So one of the things I also tell people too, I know I'm going on a little side tangent here, is that like, do the little things all the time. They're going to make you shine. Because if you were to ever email me and your email address was like vapelord420, I would laugh in your fucking face and I wouldn't even respond back to it. So just think about all those little things that somebody can see and judge you on and remove them before they do that. But with that being said, these are the legal aspects of a agreement. Again, you guys need to consult your own attorney before really pulling the trigger on anything. And you should also change the agreement that I have too and tweak it for all the requirements with the state. But here are some more agreement tips. Okay. Always use the word agreement instead of contracts. Okay. It's less intimidating, and to the claimant, it reduces any negative red flags or emotional triggers. Okay. Another thing, if you're signing documents with the claimant or in person, use your pinky finger to point at the area where they need to sign instead of your pointer finger. It's a lot less intimidating. And you guys, I know that you're going to laugh probably like reading this or hearing this, but I've closed so many damn deals throughout my life. I've post-tested everything. Okay. And just that, when you're whipping out an agreement, like that action of you pointing at that is a lot less stressful, and you can just read their body language and see that they're not as intimidated. Okay. Another thing too, if you're unsure if a state will accept the agreement that the way you have it written up, call the department and see if you can email it over to them and see if they will allow you to use it. Okay, I've found that works about 50% of the time. Some of the times they'll say, I'm not an attorney, I can't give you any legal advice or tell you what to do in that aspect. But on the other hand, you're sending them your completed claim package. They're looking over it. They're giving it the stamp of the approval, and then they're releasing funds. Okay, so they probably know if the contract, the way you have it written up, is going to like fly and pass or not. Okay, another thing, if they do say yes, don't waste any damn time. Okay, send that thing over to them while you're speaking to them on the phone and see if they can review it right there on the spot. But you guys, these are my agreement tips. Okay, and these are the different kinds of agreements. I hope this information found you well. Another thing too, I have this agreement written up and it's pretty boiled down and basic. Okay, and the reason I do that is because the more simple it is, the less intimidating it is. And put yourself in the shoes of just the average person. Okay, if you were to put a contract in front of them and it has all this fancy legal jargon, you're just going to intimidate the hell out of them. And I'm telling you guys something, a confused mind will always say no. A confused mind will always say no. A confused mind will always say no. And so I've stripped away almost all of the little tiny print and legal jargon as I possibly can. And I've done this in both my businesses, and I started doing this when I got into flipping real estate. When I started doing that, I was using an 8-page state-drafted purchase and sell agreement. And I remember the very first time I tried buying this vacant house, this lady, you could just tell the expression on her face when she was flipping through all this stuff. Like it looked like I was coming to rob her, and I wasn't. And so like I started removing as much stuff as I possibly could while keeping all the elements of an enforceable agreement in place. And so I like having the most basic boiled down agreement I possibly can, just to reduce any LMR with consumer. So LMR means last minute resistance. But anyways, this is my agreement right here. And if you guys want, there's a link down below in the description. Just go and click it. And if you guys are interested in the course, I'm more than happy to hop on a super short 10-minute phone call with you guys or a video chat and go over all those details with you. Other than that, be well.